Good morning, everyone. Welcome back into my kitchen, Cooking with Carol Diane. It's the end of the week, folks. Here it is, Friday, going into the weekend. And boy, have I had a week this last week. You ever have one of those again? I have. I'm calling mine the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm not even in the Clint Eastwood movie. I will talk about that after I make my little goodie that I'm going to make today because I think I deserve it this week. Like I said, when you have the good, the bad, and the ugly hit your life, then I think you need to treat yourself, and that's what I'm going to do this morning. What am I going to make this morning? Well, it's a simple little recipe, only has a couple little steps here of making what's called rhubarb bars. And I kind of think rhubarb gets a bad rap. I really do. So because my rhubarb has taken forever down here to grow, I had wonderful rhubarb where I used to live higher up in the altitudes of Colorado that it just, wow, took off and grew so well, but down here not so much. So I can't go to my fruit stands right now and get the rhubarb. They're not out right now. But I did find rhubarb at the store. It's quite large. This is what rhubarb looks like. Almost like stalks of celery when you go to the store to look for it, or a fruit stand. But it's going to be red. Some of them will have a lot of green on them, you know, down here of a lot more green. But I tried to pick the ones that were red. This came in a whole big bunch that was called Storino Farms, and it's out of Washington. Little thing that was all wrapped up with a rubber band here. So I got it. So I am going to use that today because, like I said, you can't get it right now at our fruit stands. And rhubarb's not a fruit. It's actually a vegetable. And I often hear people say, oh, I don't like rhubarb. And then when I ask them, what don't you like about it? You know, because it's very sweet tasting. And 9 times out of 10, it's because they haven't even tried it at all. They just look at this stalk right here and think, they're not going to like that as far as something sweet. Rhubarb jam is wonderful. 4th of July time, I always try to find, well, where I came from, they would have, right before the parade in the street there, they would have vendors set up for different things. And one of them always was the local ladies got together and made pies. And you could purchase the pie. Either it was an apple, blueberry, strawberry rhubarb is the one I always tried to hunt for. I think there's some peach pies there, just different ones. And you have to really look at a pie to know whether it's homemade or not, really, truly. And so I really was on the hunt for the rhubarb, and 9 times out of 10, I would get one. But today I'm going to make a simple recipe that are the little bars to have. And because I'm eating better now and eating some desserts, I thought this would be a nice treat at the end of my good, bad, and ugly week. So let me show you how you make it. You first have to start with, number 1, setting your oven to 350 degrees. Get that preheated. Take an 8 by 8 pan and lightly spray inside of it to get parchment paper to stick. And I've just put mine down. This is actually just where I can lift it up out of here when I get ready to. Put a little bit more down and put another one going the other way. Then I am going to spray, back over here where I can see it, and spray my parchment paper so it comes out easy. So get your pan ready. That's the first thing you need to do. No, first thing, set that oven. Get it ready. Mine's done. It's preheated and all finished, ready to go. Get your pan ready. Now on top of these rhubarb bars, and you certainly could make cupcakes with these, would be very good also. But I'm just going to stick them in this pan. Excuse me this morning. It's cool this morning. It's cooled down from the hot temperatures of 99 degrees. We're having a little wind outside, cooling everything down, and I always try to take advantage of those days by, okay, yes, turning on my oven and baking something. So that's why I'm doing this morning. Okay, so my recipe on just the crumble little topping is that you're going to take 6 tablespoons of melted butter, which I have right here. I already had it in the microwave, so I'll put it in. Where'd my other one go? There we go. Put that in the bowl. Get every drop of that butter, because butter is expensive now. It just is. Then you're going to take 1 cup of all-purpose flour, stick that in, and then you're going to need a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar, that in there, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. A little bit of salt in there. Save that salt because you're going to need it here in a few more minutes. Now what I like to do is just, especially with a crumble topping, I just take a fork, okay? And I'm just going to mix this up with my fork. I've always done my little crumble toppings. You want to get that brown sugar and flour mixed into the butter and still have the crumble pieces. That's what makes it good on top. I've made several things for you with a crumble topping. I really have. Okay, now that part's done. Easy, wasn't it? Set that aside. Now we're going to the next step of getting the rhubarb ready. So here's the rhubarb. Here's the bowl. I'm going to put the rhubarb in. And you're going to need about 1.5 cups of rhubarb. So I'm going to start with the smaller stalks first because this is going into bars. And I'm going to cut it. And then I like to cut mine on an angle because I just think it looks prettier, whether it's in a pie or like this that I'm doing today. Just on an angle. I have washed all of the rhubarb very well at my sink, and probably about 1 inch on how they're supposed to be cut up. You don't want them much bigger than that, thicker than that, because they're going into this little pastry, if you want to call it that. It's kind of like a cake, it really is. But instead of cake, which like I said, you could make this into muffins, would be fine. That would be fine. And if you like a lot of rhubarb, then do take a lot of rhubarb. Now, because this is big and thicker, fatter across, I'm going to go ahead and cut it right down the middle so that I can get more out of this. And again, I'm just going to kind of cut mine small. Rhubarb softens up when you cook it. And this will soften up. So let's just go. And I've got 3 big stalks left that I can make pie, whatever I want to. Because this was not cheap, what is nowadays, to buy at the store. Certainly if I had bought 2 of them, I could make jam with that very, very easily. Now, it's come almost up to 2 cups, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. Really, I'm not. The saying less is more. Well, this a little more will be just right. I think it'll be just right. Okay, put that into a bowl. Then you want to take 1 tablespoon, at least, of some lemon zest. So I went and bought a lemon yesterday, and they're still kind of high in price. I think this one was 69 cents for 1 lemon. Yeah, 1 lemon. You only want to get the top part, you know, the bright yellow part of your lemon. Let's see if I can go this way with it. A little better here. Having a hard time with my left hand right now. I'll tell you why. There in a few minutes, I'll tell you why. My good, bad, and ugly week. So I'm just doing a good, like I said, probably a good tablespoon. I love lemons starting spring, summertime. Oh my gosh, you know June 21st is the first day of summer. And yesterday, when I was out and about, I talked to a man that wanted to know if I liked herb teas. Oh yeah, got all kinds. What's your favorite? Peppermint. I grow peppermint out in my greenhouse. Spearmint I grow. Really, he said, yeah. And he stumbled across, his wife and him stumbled across a site in Boulder that sells wonderful herb teas. So he was telling me about it. And I said, you know, there's just, in my opinion, there's just nothing better in the summertime than a nice tall glass of fresh brewed iced tea and put a little lemon wedge with it and add that sprig of either spearmint or peppermint, either one. It just is so refreshing tasting, it really is. Well, he was going to try that. Okay, you go home and try that. All right, also into this is 1 tablespoon, which I have right here, of, again, packed brown sugar. We'll put that in there. And and then we need 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, because that's going to stick everything together. Now you can just toss this around, making sure the flour and that lemon zest and your brown sugar all gets all over. Chop up that brown sugar just a little bit more here. Make sure it gets all over, okay, like that, of the zucchini. Zucchini. See, I say the darndest things all the time, don't I? Heaven's sakes, where did that come from? Out of left field. Rhubarb is what I'm working with today. Rhubarb. Stressful week. Very stressful week. Good, bad, and the ugly. Okay, we're going to set that aside. Now you have to make what is kind of the cake part of it. So, you get this kind of out of the way here. Set the rhubarb over here. And let's get the mixer going. Any mixer, you could even do this with a hand mixer, doesn't matter. So now comes the cake part. Into the cake part, you will need 3/4 cup all-purpose flour. Put that in there. Put it that way. Put that in there. Then you will need 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Very much of that. That in there. And then you will need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That's why I said save out your salt. A little bit of salt in there. Okay. Done with that. And that's the dry ingredients right there. And I did mess up one little thing. Let me grab one little. I probably could put it all in here. I forgot. Like I do on so many things. Let's set the dry ingredients because you want to do the the wetter ingredients first. It's all right. The recipe calls for it in this order, but really when you're making it, set the dry ingredients aside for just a minute. What a day I'm having, huh? Into this, get you 1/2 cup of soft butter. I looked in my refrigerator this morning and I thought, oh my gosh, it just seems like every time I turn around, I'm buying butter. I really guess I must go through a lot of butter. Apparently I do. 1 stick of butter. Then you're going to have 1 cup of regular household sugar. Stick that in there. Now, put your mixer down, turn it on, and start mixing those two together. You will need 2 eggs, and they need to be at room temperature, which mine are. Yeah, get that all mixed together. Go ahead and put your 1 egg in, one at a time. Let that mix up for a few minutes. And go with your second one. Not too bad, huh? I remember those steps. Okay. Turn it up just a little bit more. And yes, I always like to stop the machine, and I like to go around the sides of the bowl. No matter which bowl I'm using, which mixer I'm using, I like to go around the side of the bowl, so that I know I've got everything. Into this, I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon, your choice of vanilla extract. I'm using the Madagascar. 1/2 teaspoon. Now we can add the flour. Now let's add that flour in there. A little bit. Got 1/2 of it. A little bit more. And the rest of it. Coming together, it really is. Make sure your pan's all nice and ready. Okay. Let's take this little guy off of here. And sometimes it wants to work for me, and sometimes it does not. Sometimes I can't get the bowl off of the stand. I was watching somebody the other day on a video, cooking video. Everything that could go wrong did. I felt so sorry for the woman. Really, I did. And I've had those days, you know. Her batter, everything she was doing was going all over her apron, all over her. Forgetting things, dropping things. The paper to the butter stuck to her hand electric mixer. Everything imaginable was going on. And I know she probably was a little embarrassed, but you know, she just kind of laughed it off, because you do. It's your kitchen, cook the way you want to. If it all goes south, who cares? At least you've tried. At least you have tried to make that recipe. And lots of kitchens are messy, and that's just the way it goes. All right, so put the cake batter down in here. Smooth it around to get it all in your pan. Like I said, these are little bars. They're going to be cut in little squares. Well, kind of oblong squares is what I'm going to cut them. And I think, oh, the batter smells so good with the lemon zest. Wow, with the lemon zest. Ever watch somebody do that? What I just did? My grandmas used to do it all the time. Let's taste that. Oh my gosh. Yum, yum. Yum, yum. It's kind of out of the way here. Now we're going to go back to the rhubarb mixture. I had another. I guess I'll just use this one here. Kind of mix that up and make sure it's all mixed in good. Now we're going to put that down in here. And I think that the amount, even though it was close to almost the full 2 cups, it doesn't matter. It's covering the dish very well. You want to make sure that the rhubarb gets to all corners in here, which it has. That doesn't look too bad, just like that. Now we're going to take the streusel crumb mixture and put it on top. That mixed up just a little bit more. There's a few larger pieces in here, and that's okay. Put that all in here. There's no rhyme or reason to this. Just stick it in. I love it when a recipe is kind of like those dump cakes. Just dump it all in. You know? Not hard at all. Okay, now you're going to put this in your oven and cook it for about 40 to 50 minutes, depending on your oven. I know that at probably 40 minutes, when you look in your oven and look at this, you're going to say, I think it's done. I really do. Stick a toothpick in here if it comes out clean with a little bit of the streusel on the end of the toothpick. Who cares? It's done. Okay, so I'm going to stick this in the oven right now. And I'm going to set the timer. I'm going to set mine for 40 minutes. And then I'll come back and have a little chit chat with you and tell you about my good, bad, and ugly week. Okay, while my rhubarb bars are in baking, let me tell you my week I have had. It's been kind of a riot. I have been busy as a bee, just like my little coffee mug right here. Truly I have. I began my week by being invited with a handwritten invitation. Being invited to my neighbor who just turned 95 young. Oh, the nicest lady you've ever wanted to meet. Her name is Louise. And for the last 5 years that I've lived here, from the day I met her, she just opened her arms to me and welcomed me like I was family. And we had to go quite a little ways, about 40 minutes away, for this birthday party with all of her relations' family to her grandson's house. What's called up on the mesa. Nice little drive. And I get her birthday present all wrapped and done. It's the little 2-barrel thing of a water fountain that she's always wanted for her back patio area. Okay, so I get all that done, and I go out the door with husband, and I look over and I'm thinking, well, okay, it was from noon until 4. Where are all the cars? I don't see all the cars. Where is everybody? And I look at him and he says, I want to read that invitation again. Maybe we got something wrong. Are you sure it's today? I said, yeah, it's today. So I go back in the house with the great big box. I read again. Another week, that week, even when I got the invitation, is that I barely looked at it. Oh yeah, it's Louise's birthday on June 8th. Okay. And I stuck it on the refrigerator and completely put it out of my mind. But on the invitation, it said to drive 40 minutes up the road. So we did. We did. We get there. It's a nice day, a little bit windy, but not too much. A nice house and location where her grandson lives, and they had huge canopy tents set up. And on the canopy, under the canopy tents were all these tables where you could sit and eat. There were 2 different sections, which I posted on Facebook on my page. 2 different sections in there of where they were having food. They are Hispanic, and so everything was, you know, the fried rice, the refried beans, everything to go in to a tortilla shell, you know, but nice, good stuff. Vegetable trays, all that. There was a table set up for the gifts, and anyway, I went right over to the birthday girl because I wanted to say hi to her first. Gave me a great big hug. Like I said, family. It was so nice. had our little luncheon there with her. Then a man that his family came over. He had his guitar with him, and he sat down on a chair, and we all sang happy birthday to her. That was fun. And she got a little cake all for herself. Everybody else got a little cupcake. And if you didn't want to eat it there, then her daughter had set aside that you got the little individual carrying cupcake holders that you could take with you. Okay, they thought of everything, really. And then after we sang happy birthday, he stayed right there, this man, and he kept singing country songs. And I'm telling you, folks, his voice was unbelievable. It was so, I could have sat there all afternoon and just listened to him. It was great. It really was. I had a fabulous time. Okay, so that started kind of my week of having the birthday party. Then it was the week to our month that we go out to lunch, I do, with my lady friends. And this time we picked an Italian restaurant, not Olive Garden, but another one I had never been to. And we went in, and oh my gosh, the atmosphere was truly Italian. It was nice. And I love that when they set the scene for the mood, you know. And so we sat there for 2.5 hours, having our lunch, talking. And 2 tables over was a great big long table that they had a lot of people there. We didn't care about that. But what was so fun about that is they too, is somebody at the table, it was their birthday. And I could see barely through all the people a huge container, plastic, clear see-through container that held some kind of a dessert. I mean big. And so they started to sing happy birthday, and the guy at the end of the table said, "Come on, join us." So we did. We sang happy birthday to whoever it was at the table. And that was fun. It really was. So that was 2 really nice, good things that started my week off. I thought, okay, great. Birthdays are great, whether it's a wedding, birthday, whatever, celebration. You're having fun, you're laughing, everything's great. That started off good. My bad comes with the week. So busy as the bee that I am, I go out to my shed where I want to reorganize, pull some things out and reorganize, get the utility trailer of what's in that stuff out of there and back into the shed. It's hot, people. It's hot right now. We're into almost the triple digits. We really are. So I put up the canopy over the front part of my shed to shade it, even though I'm not going to be out there during the day. It'll either be in the morning or evening. Okay, and it's a nice one, this canopy one, because it's like an accordion that you just kind of undo it like this, and the legs are there, and all you have to do is put the little canopy top on it, which is Velcroed on, and then you get in the middle, and you just gotta go like this, and the whole thing kind of pops up, and then you set the poles. Done all that got done. But I had to put it into the gravel of the driveway. So I'm anchoring 2 sides of it to the shed. The other 2 poles, I went over to my chicken coop area where I have my metal chickens, because I'm thinking, I've got those tent stakes holding down a couple of my chickens. And I also have the metal, they look kind of like a little horseshoe, hard staple that goes for landscaping of the netting that you put down. And I'd had my garden gloves on the whole time I was putting up the canopy. I take the garden gloves off. I go over to the chicken coop. I lift up the chicken, and I see now he doesn't have one of those tent stakes. He has the other kind that's just the little metal thing that's not going to work for this great big canopy leg of securing it down on the one end. I start to set the chicken back down in place. What happens? Boom! Target of a wasp stings me. And I didn't even see him around me until he left my hand. And I'm thinking, you son of a gun, you got me, you stung me. Didn't have my garden gloves on. Probably wouldn't have got stung. I do like everybody does. Ouch, you know? I come into the house, I immediately put the It's a paste of your baking soda paste right on the area where I know he stung me. It's still there. I go and take the Benadryl. I get an ice pack because now I'm noticing, yeah, you're starting to kind of swell up a little bit. It did more than that. By the second day, and that evening, I keep having the ice packs on it, and it's burning and carrying on, and it's starting to swell a lot more. By the second day, you couldn't find this part of my hand. Truly, it had swelled up from about here all the way to here. Just looked like a balloon had blown up, and it hurt. Could not move my fingers, anything. And I'm thinking, oh, lovely. And it's burning like a sunburn and itching and everything. By the third night that it's keeping me awake, I went in the living room and I have a aloe vera plant. And I clipped off a piece of that. And really, folks, I put the aloe vera on it. Well, that was helping with the burning sensation, a little bit with the itching. And then I immediately put the ice pack back on. But I couldn't move my hand all week. I couldn't drive. I couldn't even fold it like this. Nothing. It was just a helpless hand because it was hurt from the wasp sting. We go down to the store and we buy a couple of wasp hangers, for the wasp. Husband had this idea of out in the field with the aviation. They put a bucket and you put water in the bucket about halfway up, with a couple of tablespoons of liquid like Dawn soap. And then you take a string across. You're going to hang it down like this. And on the string, you wrap pastrami meat. I don't know. They said they would get thousands of bees, all kinds, that would be attracted to that meat. They'd start eating on that meat and then somehow fall into the water or taste the water, whatever. And then they don't realize how heavy they are after they get the liquid part of the soapy water on their bodies, and they fall in the water and they drowned. I guess. I don't know. We did the whole thing. Set it behind the chicken coop. I've yet to see any kind of a bee of any kind, wasp, bee, or hornet, in that bucket. But the wasp little holders that you buy, yeah, there's quite a few in the one by the shed anyway. I've looked all around. I've sprayed everything for the wasp nests. But, that was one bad this week. Okay, then I'm dealing with that. And then I go to these doctor's appointments that you have to do. And I go with my husband to the VA hospital. It was just a simple little test that he had to have done. And I'm always, every appointment that he goes to, I'm right there supporting him on all of it. Everything I do in my marriage, I'm right there supporting him. So we go, and you have to wait at the VA hospital, until they call your name, like all physicians' offices. Ooh, I can smell my dessert over here. And then they have an area that is for emergency purposes, where if you haven't made an appointment or whatever, and you really need to see somebody, you go to that station, and there's a man sitting there behind a huge plexiglass window, and you talk with them. Well, I'm sitting there. Husband is sitting in the other chair with his bag of popcorn. I'm sitting there, and I am kind of just looking on my phone for something to do. And all of a sudden, here comes this woman. And she goes up to the station, the emergency area. And she has this bag of all kinds of prescription bottles in there in this little Ziploc plastic bag. She sets that down on the counter. And she's in a big way of telling the man. I have kind of an unusual story, but it's important. There's a man that's going to be coming in, and he's homeless, but he's a veteran. He got kicked out of assisted living for non-payment. They don't know what to do. Her and her friend are being kind of the advocates for him. And he has dementia very bad. And she's telling the story, and because she's telling it to the man behind a petition window, yeah, she's talking a little louder than probably me sitting here talking with you. I can hear her just fine because I have perfect hearing. I've always been told that. Even a hearing doctor told me, Diane, you have perfect hearing. You can hear things other people can't hear, especially high-pitched tones. I can hear very well. Crickets drive me insane. Okay. So husband leans over to me, because he can't hear a dang thing. He leans over to me and he says, She talks really fast, doesn't she? I said, she's stressed right now. There's a situation going on. I said, I'll share it with you later when we get out of here, which I did. But window was open and one of my little signs just fell down. Kind of scared me. But I like the breeze. Anyway, I'm standing there observing like I always do. I hear the full conversation. Everybody in the waiting room does. I hear the full conversation that son has power of attorney. They can't seem to get a hold of him. Somehow the man ended up in ICU at the VA hospital and was turned away from there because the son didn't pay the bill or something, and got him to assisted living and non-payment over there. So here he is. And I'm looking at the man, not the two women, but I'm observing the man now, who is now at the counter. She says, well, I don't know his social security number. I don't even know his birth date, but here's all of his medications. You know, I know his name and everything. And so here comes the man. He walks over. He's not limping. He's not with a cane or a walker, but he's walking kind of slow. He's every bit somewhere in his 70s. Okay. He's very clean looking. He has on clean clothes. And what I mean by that, I mean, you can tell nothing was ragged or worn or dirty. Nice pair of jeans, a nice summer top that he had on, button down short sleeve top, brand new pair of white tennis shoes. And as he's kind of turning around, I could see the side face and more of his face because he was kind of looking around the waiting room. What I saw in his face, yes, was that he didn't kind of know where he was at. Kind of a confused look on his face. And she's trying to tell the man, because he was saying, well, who would you like to speak with? You know, one of our advocates here. And he wouldn't answer because he just kind of stood there and looked at the lady that was helping him do everything. She says, he's got dementia. He's not going to understand what you're saying. She says, yes, can he just stay here for a little while until we can contact his son? Guy didn't seem to have a problem with that. He gets up out of his chair. He tells him to wait a minute. He gets up out of his chair to go find, I guess, the advocate or something. He says, you just have a seat here and wait for me here. Okay. We get called in for our appointment, husband's appointment. Okay, so when we leave the VA hospital, I still see this man sitting there in the chair. The ladies had found 3 bottles of cold water, and he was sitting there drinking some water. And the look on his face, I thought, you're lost. You're completely lost. You don't know what to do. You don't really know where you are, where you're going. Where are you even going to sleep and put your head tonight? I don't know. So we get out of the VA hospital, and I'm starting to tell now my husband the story of the man because he couldn't hear anything of the story of what was going on. And I get in my car and I sit down. I start the car and turn on the AC. And I said, gosh, I feel for that man. I really do. He says, yeah, he served his country. Why was he thrown out of assisted living? I said, we don't know the circumstances. Husband says, you know, if I had a lot of money, I'd put him up in a hotel for a few nights. And I look over at him and I said, if I had a lot of money, I'd pay for his assisted living for a whole year until the son gets his act together and takes care of his dad. Yeah. He says, we have hotels and apartment buildings and all that going up for other people. Why not a veteran? I said, I don't know. I don't know the policy on the VA hospital of how they take care of a homeless veteran. I really don't. Probably should look that up. But I did feel for the man. So that was kind of the bad. And another bad was reading on Facebook, my son's girlfriend. She goes to the gas station right down the street from where I am. Gets gas in her car. Gets out of her car, throws something away in the trash can, looks back over, and some woman is in her car rummaging through her things. Why? You know? Of course, she gets mad at her and gets her out of the car and all that, and then we're thinking, you can't mistake what the vehicle that she was driving, because she took a picture of her and the vehicle and posted it on Facebook. You really can't, the woman couldn't mistake her car versus my son's girlfriend's car because totally different. And I'm thinking, wow, yeah, you know, here we go, living in this mini city. Of course, I guess that could happen in a small town, but I haven't heard of it happening, and I've lived in small towns for a long, long time. But down in the city, yes. So, my good, my bad. Then I have to have the ugly for the week. Have another neighbor who's done something very wrong. I can't really talk about it because it's still under investigation. It's just a shake of the head dilemma. I wish I was in the movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Clint Eastwood. At least that's a Western. At least maybe I could figure out my part of how I'm supposed to play on all of this. Been stressed to the max on a couple of things this week. Been angry, been mad, confused about why is all of this happening. I don't know. My only thought that I can leave you with is like today when the wind is blowing, because it blows in, coolness blows in a storm, whatever. So the winds of change, maybe we can find our greatest direction. Maybe I can find my greatest direction today and into the weekend of how I'm supposed to deal with a couple of things that aren't right. People aren't right. Can't change people. I always go back to that many, many years ago of an attorney looking at me and saying, oh, Diane, people are just people. Well, they certainly are. And sometimes you just can't understand them. But I'm going to try to flip this, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and try to remember, okay, what direction do I need to take? Think positive, Diane. Think positive on my 95-year-old neighbor who goes out on her porch and is thoroughly enjoying my water fountain that I gave her and other gifts. There's beautiful flowers that came from the birthday party that they set along her rail that she's enjoying. Yeah, that's great. Going out to lunch with my lady friends and hearing them chitter and chatter about their life and things. One had taken a trip clear back to Michigan, I think it was. Anyway, she went all the way to Niagara Falls. It was a 10-day journey that 40 of these seniors went on, and all the things that she had to say about that. There was good, bad, and ugly with that trip too, but at least she went, and I think her and her husband had a really nice time. I really do. So I'm gonna wait. I have 13 more minutes on my little rhubarb bars. That my kitchen just smells wonderful this morning, and I'll stop my video and wait the rest of the time, and then I'll bring them out and show you and let them cool and cut them and bite into them and tell you how that tastes, and hopefully that'll be a great treat. I hope all of you are having a better going into the weekend now than what I've had, and if you have good, bad, and ugly in your week, tell me about it. Put it in the comment area. If you're watching me on my YouTube channel, push the subscribe button. Push that little bell up there so that you can see future videos that I make. If you're watching me on Facebook, I couldn't download my last video on Facebook. It just would not download. So unfortunately, I think I am going to stay with the YouTube channel and continue with my videos because it's kind of a breeze to do it on YouTube. So I'll catch you in a few. Okay, well, the rhubarb bars, and I'm going to cut them in little squares, is out of the oven. They haven't cooled down all of the way. I just can't resist not cutting into just a little bit here to see how it tastes and how I'm going to like this. Yeah, it's pretty warm. In fact, I'm going to get my hot pad again on the side of this pan. I'm so ready to try something good and tasty. Go try it first here. Something really good and tasty. Mine took the 40 minutes to bake. It really did. And I hope I don't destroy it by not letting them cool all of the way. But I can't resist. And once they're cooled all the way, then all I would have to do is just take a hold of the paper here, you know, and lift it out. But I want to go ahead and lift out. And it may fall all apart because it's still so warm. I don't know. Oh, got one out. You know what would be good on this? Either a great big dollop of ice cream, of course, ice cream, or whipped cream. Put some whipped cream on this. Would be wonderful too. So let me take a little bite here. Oh, I like this. Again, rhubarb has a sweet taste to it. It really does. I think the 3/4 of a cup, almost going into 2 cups, is just right for this pan size. I really do. I hope you go and make it, try it, and I hope your week is better for next week. If you had a bad week, if you had a good week, great. My little puppy dog can smell all this. Would you like to see Coco Bean right now? Daisy May's outside. Coco has grown. Here he is. My little 2-year-old long-haired dachshund. Yeah, that always has to be with me all the time. He's just my little shadow. But boy, he can smell this. I take just a little bit of the crumble. See if he likes that. Yeah, he does. Of course he does. Yeah, what do you think? No, you didn't like that? Brown sugar? And try it again. I think it's still a little bit warm for him. It doesn't feel warm at all, but apparently he didn't like that brown sugar. I'll catch you another time from my kitchen to yours. This is Cooking with Carol Diane. Go have a grand weekend. Bye-bye.